The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us, black excellence,
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't.
The new lawsuit come with Jay, the Department of Jay. I go, oh shoot. Like to us, that had to be there. We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying. And in united we stand and ain't nothing else. What was supposed to be the end of a legal nightmare for Sean Diddy Combs turned into an even bigger bombshell when none other than Jay-Z, yes, have himself, was unexpectedly dragged into the courtroom chaos. It all happened in a matter of minutes. Now I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you got to know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein, people are like, I guess they both do business. Then of course Jay-Z with Diddy. Now hold on, here's the thing, Jay-Z and Diddy go way back, like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. If I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now there is absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the like what happened to Diddy making people wonder. Nuz came out. Well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody. Kelly, but again, rumors kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now he's going after Diddy specifically. Listen closely. Anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying, Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him, he could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names, some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all fall wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all going to out. So people are like, now in Beyonce's case, it's just cause she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. Diddy had just been declared not guilty in his federal RICO case. Months of stress, speculation, and non-stop media coverage had finally ended. The courtroom was tense. His legal team exhaled. Diddy closed his eyes for a second, seemingly relieved. It was over, or so we thought. Because just as the verdict was read and reporters raced to file breaking news, a clerk handed a sealed envelope to the judge. The judge opened it, scanned the contents, and his expression immediately changed. What followed sent shock waves through the courtroom. A new subpoena, a new name, Jay-Z. In an absolutely jaw-dropping turn, the judge announced that new evidence submitted during the trial had triggered a separate inquiry involving Sean Carter. The courtroom froze. Diddy, who seconds ago was basking in legal victim. Of course, regardless of whether information qualifies as exculpatory or impeachment, it must be disclosed in time for its effective use at trial. And the defense continues, moreover, because the government continues to refuse to identify who it views as a victim also means that the government is also failing to meet its Brady and Giglio obligations with respect to any other alleged victim. Requiring Mr. Holmes to follow up on all exculpatory evidence in the 6 weeks before trial is unconstitutionally burdensome. 3,500 material should also not be produced with an attorney-only designation, particularly if the court adopts the government's proposal to delay disclosure of such material until March 21, 2025. Defense counsel will need Mr. Combs' assistance to properly review the material and effectively prepare for trial. Now finally, the parties they agree for once they agree about the witness and exhibit list. The prosecution proposes submitting that list 3 weeks before trial, April 14, 2025. They say earlier than that doesn't make sense because those motions and eliminate excluding evidence or arguments won't have been decided yet, and that will affect who or what the government will present. They say the defense can present its list by April 25, 2025. So that's 1 week in advance of trial. The defense agrees to both, and then both the prosecution and the defense agree to April 11th as the deadline for the jury questionnaire form. So those are sent out to prospective jurors across the jurisdiction, starts the whole jury selection process on who will be called into court for further questioning and examination. And also both sides agree to April 25th as the deadline for request to charge or voir dire. That's the more specific process for selecting the jury and also proposed verdict forms to be submitted. So in the end, what do you see here? You see a little gamesmanship, you see a little strategy, a little practical difficulties all at play here. Remember, it is the prosecution's burden. The defense arguably wants to trip them up, right? They don't want them to be as prepared as possible, trying to take any advantage they can. So this unidentified Jane Doe has sued both Jay-Z, Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs. This is out in New York. This is out in New York federal court to be more specific. And she is claiming that when she was just 13 years old, she was raped by both of these musicians at a Video Music Awards afterparty back in 2000. And now Jay-Z, who is adamantly denying the allegations, is not only trying to get the whole case dismissed and thrown out, but he is also asking the court to impose sanctions upon Jane Doe's Texas attorney, Tony Busby. Now, this may sound very familiar, by the way, because this has been an ongoing legal war between Busby and Jay-Z and his legal team. Accusations that Busby engaged in extortion, that his firm pressured a client to lie, that Jay-Z's camp has been engaging in intimidation and harassment. Jay-Z called Tony Busby a deplorable human being. He even filed a lawsuit against Tony Busby. And by the way, Jay-Z and his legal team, their position was that Busby had extorted the rapper, that Busby allegedly threatened Jay-Z during negotiations that he would go public with these claims. Jay-Z says these are false claims, but public with these claims unless Jay-Z agreed to pay what they claim is a quote exorbitant sum in private mediation within a 2-week period. Jay-Z says that when he refused, that is when he was named by Tony Busby in the lawsuit. Remember, this lawsuit first came out. It was only identified as unnamed celebrity A, and then in an amended complaint Jay-Z was identified as C, looked like he had seen a ghost. According to sources close to the case, the surprise mention of Jay-Z came from a confidential witness who dropped a bombshell in closed-door testimony. That witness alleged connections between Diddy's business operations and financial dealings that they claimed also implicated Carter in a broader network of corporate shell strategies. Let's be clear, Jay-Z hasn't been charged, but being named in court like this, it's serious. Diddy instantly lost it. Witnesses say he slammed his hands on the table, shouting, "Why are you bringing Jay into this? He got nothing to do with it." Security moved in. Court officers tried to de-escalate. One of Diddy's attorneys had to physically restrain him from approaching the bench. Cameras were rolling. Reporters captured every second. The courtroom was chaos, and the internet had exploded. Before the news had even finished leaving the judge's lips, number Jay-Z subpoenaed was already trending. Headlines popped up across every platform. Jay-Z dragged into Diddy Rico fallout. Hub's name dropped in final minutes of trial. Knee.